ban wheels off liberty. Those guys are disgusting.
This is Terry and Lupo reporting from Armstrong campus for the Low Country Liberty Report. I'm actually here in two areas because I'm promoting the Free State Project. And here's my little table. So when the Tea Party movement started years and years ago, it was a libertarian movement. And lately, when the Republican Party fell in shambles and the Republicans lost the presidential race, they jumped on board and created a lot of numbers in the Tea Party movement. And a lot of the Tea Party events reflected Republican ideals. It went from saying, let's reduce government, to get rid of government, to get rid of the Fed, to get rid of taxes, to the current ones. They start with people saying the Pledge of Allegiance, then they go to let's lock down the borders and build up the troops and the forces, and let's increase the government in places we like, but not in other areas. We're taxed to death, but we need all these other things. So there was, it wasn't very principled or pure. I was going to go and contrast how much the Tea Party has changed in a year or two, but then I found a more interesting one. I found a grassroots one here at Armstrong University in Savannah that is a lot more principled. So I'm going to take you to that, and you get an idea.
Whenever he gave this speech, President Eisenhower sought to prevent this new industry from gaining too much political and economic power. Looking to today's situation, we find ourselves in national interest deeply vested in countries all over the world. There are currently 737 military bases in virtually every region of the world. Major bases can be found in Germany, Japan, Italy, England, Spain, Turkey, South Korea. The reach of our military today is unprecedented and unparalleled. The U.S. military owns and/or rents 795,000 acres of land with 26,000 buildings and structures which it holds over a value of $140 billion. In total expenditures, the United States defense budget accounts for half of the world's spending on defense. In March 2010, the war in Iraq reached a total of $1.3 trillion spent since the initial invasion, and $265 billion being spent in Afghanistan. Currently, there are more than over 250,000 U.S. troops stationed in the region. We are currently in a perpetual war whose links are at the discretion of the executive branch. If we are to be a nation to go to war, then we should follow the Constitution and have Congress authorize thus actions as the Founding Fathers intended. With our current policies, the executive can conduct military operations and this banner of the new War on Terror, which could last 100 years and cross all borders necessary.
Taxes for some form of government service, and we don't all use it. That doesn't make sense. And on top of that, if it was privatized, we could have independent school districts, we'd have independent schools that do well on their own, and we wouldn't have budget cuts like this going down. We wouldn't be getting the short end of the stick, every time the government doesn't decide to print more money on education.
Advancement in technology and medicine has been made by an intelligent individual for selfish gains. Thomas Edison patented the light bulb because he was sick of reading by candlelight and was able to capitalize on his discovery. The fact that he revolutionized the model world was just a happy side effect. And just as in the event of a plane crash, you must first secure your own oxygen mask before helping others, so it is in all areas of life. The protection of life, liberty, and happiness on an individual level is necessary in order to ensure life, liberty, and happiness in general. In short, the only way in which the mandates of government can exist in accordance with the laws of humanity is for the government to recognize a separation between state and economy, in the same way it recognizes a separation between church and state, and for similar reasons. A free and unregulated economy is the system most likely to lead to peace among producers and consumers, workers and employers, just as the separation between church and state has led to relative peace among religious factions in this country. But most importantly, because it is the only system under which men can live as they are required.
Although this is tax day, and a lot of talk can be done on taxes, but really it's big government and government intrusion is I think what this is really about. And I was asked to speak on something that helps us fight back the government and government intrusion. That's the Second Amendment. And it's a very important right and it's what I like to call a right of last resort. It's the one right that allows us to fight back, if necessary, against a government that has slipped into a police state. I think we can look around and see that there's probably more police than there are teachers, perhaps. The Second Amendment from the Constitution says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. As you'll see in my talk, our founders have good reason for not letting our government restrict what we can't own and why. Even here in the state of Georgia, our gun rights aren't what they are supposed to be.
I can ride my bike with no handlebars, no handlebars, no handlebars. I can ride my bike with no handlebars, no handlebars, no handlebars. Look at me, hands in the air like it's good to be alive. They're famous rapper, we put a path or a crooked E. I can show you how to do-si-do, I can show you how to scratch a record. I can make a part of remote control and I can almost put it back together. I can tie a knot in a Joseph, I can tell you about Lee Erickson. I know all the words of Big Boris and I'm proud to be an American. Me and my friends are platypus, me and my friends made a comic book. And guess how long it took? I can do anything that I want, cause look, keep rhythm with no metronome, no metronome, no metronome. I can see your face on the telephone, on the telephone, on the telephone. Look at me, just considered to be alive in such a small world, all curled up in a book tree. I can make money up enough for a store, we can look up a magazine. I can design it, 4 miles per gallon, that's me. I can make you an antibiotic, I can make you use aquatic conditions, I know how to run a business. I can make you want to run a product, producers. I see a dream, you can go to the future. I see a dream, you can go to the future. With the microphone, with the microphone, with the microphone.
So what's interesting is to see that now, instead of people just rolling over and going to neocon tea parties, that some liberty individuals and liberty activists have started a competing tea party movement.